리버와 함께
네.
김태균 선수 김태균 리버가 나왔나요 지금?
김태균 리버 귀환.
Now, if you're like me, a nerd who played StarCraft when he was 4 years old for the very first time, you would have come across this video as a kid and been blown away. Like, what? People actually do this? This exists in Korea somewhere? And you'd have seen that there was massive sponsors, huge televised events for something called Korean Brood War. What was once the biggest esport in the entire world so early in competitive gaming, Korean Brood War and the real-time strategy genre was here to stay. Or so we thought. Over the last 2 decades, esports has turned into a massive economic boom, with games like League of Legends, Valorant, CSGO, Smash Brothers, even Rocket League or PUBG Battlegrounds. All these games are providing massive amounts of money for streamers and competitors alike. And while these streamers/competitors are making more money than they've ever made and have more viewership than they've ever had, we've noticed that our beloved RTS genre has actually fallen off quite a bit. According to esportscharts.com, StarCraft 2 currently ranks as the 19th most watched esport, below PUBG. Now, with the release of new games like Stormgate on the horizon, or the investment from teams like Team Vitality into the StarCraft 2 space, it's possible that we may see a really awesome resurgence for the RTS genre here in 2024. And as always, please like the video if you like this video. Please hit that sub button, leave a comment. What's your favorite RTS? Do you think that 2024 will be a bust for the genre, or are we really going to see a huge resurgence? Let us know in the comments. Let's get into it. Before we begin, let's dive into a quick history of the RTS genre. Real-time strategy games once stood at the pinnacle of the gaming world, offering players a blend of on-the-fly decision-making, resource management, and tactical combat, all at the same time. You got your iconic classics like Command & Conquer, Warcraft, Orcs vs. Humans, Age of Empires, and of course, StarCraft, all setting the standard, defining the genre with their engaging gameplay and strategic depth. And these titles were more than just games, they were communities. There was competitions that captivated millions, just like that Korean Brood War popular video that we showed at the very beginning. Certain games, like the original StarCraft and Brood War, wound up becoming insane global sensations, not just in Korea, but also in Japan and in the world beyond. The world of StarCraft turned into a really high APM exercise with insane competitions all the way at the very top, with StarCraft's popularity lasting a lot through the 90s and through the early 2000s. Eventually the game's popularity started to fade. Then we see the previews and the eventual release of Blizzard's StarCraft 2, a game that I was actually super excited for back in high school when it did come out for me. And the release of StarCraft 2 marked the beginning of modern-day esports. At the same time, we saw massive surges of popularity in games like League of Legends and Dota 2, and massive tournaments such as Major League Gaming and the Cyber World Games. At the time, StarCraft 2 was alongside those games, showing a huge boom in viewership that was unprecedented in esports even in the generation prior. However, as the game industry evolved over the years, the RTS genre certainly took a backseat and saw a gradual decline as popularity for games like League of Legends and Dota 2 emerged. Part of the reason for this popularity in those genres is that League of Legends and Dota 2 are team-based games, and StarCraft, for the most part, is a solitary high APM experience for yourself, very similar to a fighting game. 1v1 was a very popular format for the RTS genre. Of course, League of Legends, a team of 5 versus a team of 5, is a little bit more palatable and a little bit more approachable as a gamer. These games, while they retained some strategic elements similar to the RTS genre, they were a little different in that they had their team-based approach and, of course, simpler gameplay, resonating with gamers' changing preferences at the time. Now, on top of this, the gaming audience tastes had diversified even further, as gamers were reaching out for new experiences in different but similar genres like tower defense games, base building games, and other RTS games overall. And unfortunately, this combination of factors over the years led to the RTS genre losing its once dominant foothold in the gaming community. Signs of the RTS resurgence. The RTS genre is showing promising signs of a resurgence coming in the next couple years, with several high-profile game releases on the horizon that have the community absolutely buzzing. These growing releases have been able to happen thanks in large part to community-funded efforts on platforms like Kickstarter, which have allowed developers to create games that fans want without having to rely on publisher funding. And of course, among these is Stormgate, which stands out as a highly anticipated title that's being worked on by Frost Giant Studios, which is composed of former devs of Blizzard. It promises to blend classic RTS mechanics with modern technology and social features, aiming to lower the entry barrier for new players while keeping the depth that veterans appreciate. Head of esports at Frost Giant Studios, Torch Houston, notes that one of the things that I'm super excited about for the future of RTS is Stormgate. We may be treading on new ground here, and that gives lots of potential for fulfilling what a lot of fans and players are looking for. Another notable mention for upcoming and a highly anticipated RTS release is Homeworld 3 from Blackbird Interactive, which is generating plenty of excitement and buzz for its deep space strategy gameplay and stunning visuals. Honestly, this game looks really sick to me. It's got awesome graphics, 3D space to play with, and supposedly an amazing story. The esports scene is also witnessing a revitalized interest in RTS games as a whole. The involvement of Team Vitality, which is a major esports organization, is acquiring Onside, a StarCraft 2 team, actively signaling a strong belief in the genre's competitive future. Cloud9 also entered the scene for the first time in its history with the pickup of legendary Terran player Gumiho. Even in the East, Taiwanese giant Talon signed Dark, arguably one of the top 2 Zerg players in the world. All of these signings have been in anticipation for the Esports World Cup hosted in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And due to the unique format of this tournament, teams need to do well across multiple titles in order to be called the best esports club in the world. And so far, only Counter-Strike 2 and StarCraft 2 have been announced as part of the Cup. With the hype of the Esports World Cup bringing, we should expect even more StarCraft 2 players to be signed onto top-tier esports organizations before the event this summer. These developments help highlight the growing competitive interest in real-time strategy games while showcasing the commitment of developers and esports organizations to re-establish the genre as a staple in competitive gaming once again. All of these developments combined suggest that the genre could indeed be on the cusp of a significant comeback. Now, how's the community responding? The gaming industry and community are reacting with a mix of optimism and cautious excitement to the signs of a resurgence in the genre. Players and community members have been vocal on forums and social media, sharing their enthusiasm for the return of the complex RTSs that require quick thinking and planning. And many recall the golden era of RTSs with nostalgia and are eager to see new titles that can recapture the magic. One awesome video that I would highly recommend to anybody out there, I'm actually going to put a link in the description, is a video of a list of the new RTS and base building games coming out in 2024 by Parafilizov. I hope I'm pronouncing that one correctly. I'm so sorry if I'm not. Where we can see development and releases for everything such as Homeworld 3, Tempest Rising, Stormgate, Manor Lord, Zero Space, Dwarf. There are so many indie RTS games coming out this year. It is incredible. So I suggest everybody check out that video if you're interested in learning more about it. Check everything out on Steam. Obviously, the best place to find new, indie, and cool video games, especially in the RTS genre. Potential challenges. The RTS genre is facing a tough climb back to the top, mainly because it needs to find a way to update its gameplay to match what gamers today expect while managing to stand out in a crowded field of MOBAs and battle royales. The trick here is for developers to figure out how to make these strategy games more accessible and fun for everyone without losing the rich and deep strategy that exists within the genre already. RTS games are notorious for being complex and solitary. Think about it as, for the most part, a 1 versus 1 experience. And this combination of traits doesn't resonate well with today's gamers, since we like simple gameplay mechanics, things that are easy to understand yet hard to master, and we also like quite a bit of team-based strategy in our video games these days. So RTS developers have started incorporating more team-based traits into their games, such as a 3-player cooperative mode versus AI, or highly emphasizing a 2v2 competitive scene. With today's tech, driven by innovations like AI upscaling and offloading certain game elements to the cloud, games can look and play better than ever. With even smarter AI and more immersive worlds to play in, plus a whole bunch more gamers missing the RTS games they grew up with, there could be an opportunity here for things to kick back up again. So, it all depends on whether or not gamers truly have an appetite for this kind of hardcore gaming experience once again. Now, for me personally, I actually have been playing the original StarCraft for our podcast. Our podcast is Thanks for Playing. You can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows. On our podcast, we play games and review them and talk about them. We play anything from new stuff to old classics. Right now, we are playing through the StarCraft original campaign and Brood War, playing a little bit of multiplayer amongst ourselves in the meantime. And I gotta say, playing it again is still a ton of fun. Now, I think there will be a small resurgence in the RTS genre once Stormgate is fully available to people like myself and other people that have been wanting to dive into RTS games for the last several years. The truth is that StarCraft has really dominated the space in the same way that we really didn't think that Valorant would come in and really be a true competitor for CSGO. I think that we may see that with Stormgate in relation to StarCraft 2. And honestly, with anybody that's playing League of Legends right now or any big Dota 2 fans out there, I think giving a classic RTS game a real shot could be perfect for a game like Stormgate. And seriously, the gaming community could always use more people trying out new games in new genres and trying out completely different games altogether. Now, it's all going to be a matter of how well Stormgate could actually keep its game updated, keep people excited, and keep the retained audience retained. And the important thing, like we mentioned earlier in the video, is that kind of co-op aspect of Stormgate that they're hoping to do in the future. RTSs are really known for 1v1 solitary, very similar to like a fighting game. So if you don't like 1v1 experiences, if it's tough for you, then RTSs are really hard to break into. But with a plan to have an extension of 3v3 or more cooperative experiences, it could be really worth looking into. If developers manage to strike the right balance with new players and old players, I could see us playing this game for many years to come, but all that will be seen with time. So what do you think? Are real-time strategy games going to have a comeback in 2024? Are you going to be playing Stormgate? Let us know in the comments. This has been Lucas with Thanks for Playing, and we'll catch you next time.